When we started looking for land a few years ago, we knew just enough to almost get ourselves in a whole lot of trouble. And by that, what I mean is that we didn't know anybody who had ever done it before. So we just had our own assumptions of how much it would cost and what we would have to do and what it would look like. And if we had bought land working under those initial assumptions, things could have gone really bad. But luckily, it took us 4 or 5 years to actually be able to own land. And that ended up kind of being a blessing in disguise because we were able to take that time and learn and adapt and change and find something that I think will actually set us up for long-term success. I had the assumption that unless you were in a big city, you could kind of build whatever you want to, and that's not true. Even in areas that I assumed would have a little bit more building freedom, we still ran into HOAs and covenants and restrictions that had square footage minimums and allowable plants. And we looked at a lot of land that had fine print like that. And I'm super fortunate we didn't end up with anything like that because we had a very different idea in mind. Part of the reason why it took 4 or 5 years is that we didn't want to have to jump through all the hoops and pay for 50 different permits and explain to an HOA board why we're putting muddy straw on our walls. It is possible to get natural building techniques approved by county inspectors, probably, but it makes life a whole lot easier because we only have to worry about a septic permit and a pretty basic electric permit. One of the first pieces of land we looked at was a 54-acre parcel going for about $50,000. And it sounded like a great deal at the time. And if you can't afford to buy a lot of land, then that's great, but we couldn't afford it. And we would have had to take out a big loan to make something like that happen. What we could actually afford ended up being a lot smaller. We were able to pool our money together with our friends Blair and Laura to be able to buy a 2-acre piece of land for a little bit less than $18,000, which was still a lot of money for us, but we could actually afford it. And we do have to make sacrifices like being closer to each other and our neighbors than we originally wanted to, and we don't have room for extra things like our custom bowling alley. But I like to think that 2 acres that you can actually afford is better than 50 acres that you can't. And 2 acres is still big enough to have houses and gardens, and it's big enough to still feel like you're outside and not in somebody's backyard. I thought that if you wanted to buy land and build your own house, you basically had to quit your job and live out of a camper, and maybe work remote. And even though we did buy land and we're starting to build our houses, our life looks pretty similar to how it did a few years ago. We're still renting the same place, still going to work, still doing the dishes. And we have had to make some pretty big life changes. Like, my brother moved in to help us pay rent, and I had to leave my career and find a job that had a little bit more flexibility while still getting a steady paycheck, so I started working at Starbucks. But we agreed as a group that we didn't want to have to fully upend our lives to take on a project like this. It didn't make sense to cut all of our ties and just trust in a dream that we didn't know would work or not. And we still don't know if it's going to work or not. Even though only being able to work on the weekends and our days off makes things go a lot slower, I ultimately think that was the better call because it's a lot more sustainable for us. We can save up and pay for things as we go, and we don't have to feel as rushed because even though we're renting right now, at the end of the day, we still have a house. I thought we wouldn't actually be able to do this with our friends. Not because of us or our friends, but mainly just because of the timing of life. There's a million different life things that can get in the way of one person doing this, let alone 4 people. And without our friends, I don't know if this is something that Callie and I could do on our own. There's a million different things that come at us on a daily basis, and it's super helpful to be able to break it up and divide the labor so it just doesn't feel like everything is coming at you all at once. And being able to split those upfront costs has made this entire thing possible. And I feel super lucky that the timing of life landed perfectly for Blair and Laura and for me and Callie to be able to do this at the exact same time. If we had tried this a year earlier or a year later, things would have looked completely different. And I don't know if there's a remedy for being able to line up the timing of life, but I think there's one thing in particular that might help besides manifesting. I made some friends in college who used the endearing term Skippy to define a certain character trait. And to me, a Skippy is somebody who likes to keep all their options on the table. If you invite them somewhere, you're not 100% sure they're actually going to show up until they're standing right in front of you. And even then, they might leave early because a better option showed up down the road. And I love Skippies. They're fun and spontaneous, but Blair and Laura and Callie aren't Skippies. When they say they're going to be there, they're going to be there. And part of the reason that I was able to start converting just a fun dinner table idea to an actual reality is that I trusted that my friends were reliable people and that they wouldn't just walk out on me. And I'm not just saying trust your friends and everything will work out. There's a lot of really important practical things that go into doing something like this with other people that we're still figuring out. But I don't think we would have even been able to make it to this point had I not trusted that my friends wouldn't walk out on me. And if you're interested in doing something like this with other people, I wouldn't call this advice because we're still figuring this out. But if I could offer one recommendation, it would be to be a reliable and consistent person and be the type of person that your friends and family can trust that you're going to follow through, if that makes sense. We spent the last 4 or 5 years learning and saving up, and there were a lot of times where it just felt like we were wasting our time.
Name 2 negative things.
And even though we're at the very beginning of this and we still have a long way to go, those years that we spent feeling like we were wasting our time and that nothing was working out and we were just getting everything wrong.
Building up to buying land and not being able to was a negative one.
I think that time is going to be the only reason why we have any shot at long-term success.
No, it's gonna fall right on him.
No, it's like, so far.
No, it's not. It's gonna hit me because
No, it's not gonna hit you.
that side's gonna swing.